here in the capital city of Austin, Texas. The Capitol building itself is a Masonic temple. The structure goes back to Rome and Greece, and the Capitol is to the female deity, so it's a female breast. And on top of it, you will see a goddess that crowns the Capitol itself. In ancient Rome, the temples to goddesses had the dome, which symbolizes the female breast. And then nearby, as you see in Washington, D.C., and in Paris, and in Rome, there will be an obelisk facing the Capitol that symbolizes the male genitals. So the obelisk is a male penis, and the Capitol domes are female breasts.
That's funny.
That's what it is. There's the Texas Capitol. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tour, I guess, around the grounds.
So you want to explain me about the conspiracy and secret society?
Yeah, where's a good spot for you?
What's the spot for me? So are we going to just be here around, or are we going to somewhere else?
There's a police memorial in the back, too. That's Masonic.
Masonic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll choose what's the...
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really no secret to history buffs that the modern architecture in the Western world is modeled after Greek and Roman. And obviously, any of their big government buildings or public buildings were dedicated to different gods. And of course, it was the same gods, just different names between Greek and Roman. And this building is a temple to Diana, and the dome symbolizes a woman's breast, and on top of it, you even have the guardian goddess guarding the state of Texas and holding the lone star, which is also a Masonic symbol, in her hand. Texas was founded predominantly by Masons. Most of the people that died at the Alamo were Masons. A lot of my ancestors were Masons, and they weren't bad people. Most Masons don't see the big picture. They're lower level. The whole Masonic system goes back to secret schools of mathematics and construction and architecture. So their religion is expressed through their architecture, because their religion was born out of architecture and using a secret religious society to keep those mathematical systems secret, going back to Egypt, King Solomon's Temple, going right through ancient Greece and Rome, into Western Europe today. And even in Asia, there were secret societies surrounding mathematics. The first mathematicians, really began their calculations by trying to measure the stars, because they believed it had religious import. So really, it goes back to the roots of human development. So I'm not saying all Masons are bad, but these secret societies then allow elites to control large groups of people through compartmentalized structures. Well, it's just for thousands of years, every major construction in the Western world has been built along Masonic lines. The temples to different goddesses, generally Diana is the most popular. There's also Eulogia, Skull and Bones worships her. There's a whole bunch of them. But these temples are based on temples in Rome and Greece that are to feminine deities, to the feminine side, and the dome represents the breast. When you see pyramids or you see obelisks with a pyramid top, that is dedicated to the male. And so a lot of times when you see a state or federal capital, whether it's in Europe or in the United States, you will also see directly in front of a Capitol building a obelisk, and that is for the male. So, and there's no secret. I mean, they'll even tell you in architecture school, this is modeled after a Roman temple to Diana. Okay, and obelisks are modeled for the male god, generally Zeus or Saturn or Mercury. And basically, when the Christian faith arose 2,000 years ago, and then a few hundred years later dominated under the first Christian emperor in Rome, this stuff went underground, and the secret societies that were following the old gods found a great home inside the Masonic mystery schools that were developed to guard and protect mathematical knowledge of construction. So the two groups basically merged. You asked the question, are all members of all governments Masonic?
Yes, that's the question.
And I would say a lot of them are. A lot of them are publicly Masons, or they are secretly Masons. And it doesn't matter whether they're Russian or whether they're Jewish or whether they're American or whether they're Chinese. It's this global good old boy club, and they fight with each other and they backstab and there's power struggles. But overall, they want to build a one world government under their absolute control, their complete hegemonic domination, and that's what they're doing right now.
Are the majority of them really obsessed with occultism?
Yes,
crazy?
They're extremely obsessed. Most of our leaders, at high level, I don't mean your city council person or some regional leader. Take Tony Blair, for instance. If you look at any biography of a modern leader, you're going to find weird occult behavior. Tony Blair is one of the easier examples. It's always in the news that he channels some spirit called the light every day. He channels it and it tells him what to do. He travels all over the world to weird ancient temples to do different rituals. He's gone down to southern Mexico to have Aztec rebirthing ceremonies where he screams and yells and rolls around naked. I mean, that was in the news. So just so many of these leaders are into the occult. There's 100 different brands of it, but it all basically is controlled by the same secret societies. And they're kind of like Russian dolls. They fit one on top of the other. Like there's one society, there's another society, another society, another society, all together like Russian dolls. You know what Russian dolls are, obviously. That's what we're talking about here. And that's why their symbol's a pyramid, because only those at the very top have all the information. The rest are compartmentalized in the structure, and that's how they control society.
Why then female are the breasts? You understand the pyramid now?
Well, the obelisk is the male member, erect, procreating, creating. And so it goes back to the most primitive human religions where they worship the goddess and they worship the male who, it's all about fertility that then continue the life cycle. It's the same in every human culture. And so these temples that are to goddesses, like this one to Diana, are conal. They're round. It's the breast.
Is there in Austin really something like Bohemian Grove?
No.
No.
Well, there's secret societies. We know there's been some weird reports out in the hill country, but that's out in the mountains, in the hills, about 30, 40 miles away.
From here?
Yeah, but you can't. It's private property. It's a major undertaking to try to go into those top places.
That's probably the same as Bohemian Grove, right?
There are other Bohemian groves. It's like Helmut Schmidt, the German chancellor, said, we have a grove in Germany, but my favorite place to do rituals is at the grove in America. So yes, there's lots of copycat groups. See, there's another dome. See how that's a pyramid right there with an eye in it? See how there's no window? But there's a hole. That's the all-seeing eye. Hidden in plain view. You see the two pillars. That's deep into Masonic lore, the two pillars. And it supports the pyramid on top of it. They always combine pyramid with the dome. But this is more dominantly to the goddess. So lesser is the male with the pyramid. And then above that, you've got the goddess symbolized by the dome, and then with an actual goddess up on top of it. And then she's got the star, which also represents humanity. And then everything comes in five: the magic, the star, the pentagram, the pinnacle.